Hello, this is my initial post for week 4 of Historical Professions. This week I used the Oxford Scholarship Online and Project Muse databases to research the women's suffrage movement in the United States. Though my master's thesis focused mainly on the role of New Jersey in the movement, I was unable to locate any specific information regarding the state's contributions that was not locked. However, I did find a scholarly article on Project Muse that focused mainly on the mobilization of state suffrage organizations. This source was written by Holly J. McCammon, and it is entitled Stirring Up Suffrage Sentiment, the Formation of the State Women's Suffrage Organizations, 1866 to 1914. In her article, McCammon addresses the efforts of national suffrage organizations to promote state movements, thereby strengthening the overall goal of getting a constitutional amendment added. The author does not just focus on large state associations like those that were found in New York and Massachusetts, but rather she also emphasizes the importance of any and all groups, no matter their size. State efforts promoted fundraising, literature, and momentum for women's suffrage, and McCammon utilizes empirical data to support these claims. It also strengthens her arguments about the importance of state mobilization in the national movement. The second source that I found was located on the Oxford Scholarship Online database, and it was a book written by Faye E. Dutton that was entitled Fighting Chance, The Struggle Over Women's Suffrage and Black Suffrage in Reconstruction America. This book was incredibly enlightening for me as a historian. Though the foundation of the women's suffrage movement, as I understood it, was in the abolition movement. But when the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were being discussed, some leaders of the women's suffrage movement criticized Black men and the country and their decision to support these men before their mothers and wives. So Dutton specifically references racist comments from leaders like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Additionally, the author references the struggle of Black women specifically because their rights were not being addressed in either of these suffrage movements. Dutton criticized that the women's suffrage movement was geared towards procuring rights for white middle-class women. And the Black suffrage movement was really focused on obtaining the vote for Black men. But what about the Black women? A final source that I found this week was not from either one of these databases. Rather, it was a recommendation from Dr. Schultz. Dr. Schultz actually, he recognized my concentration in feminist history and introduced me to this amazing historian who is now my favorite. Her name is Laurel Thatcher Ulrich. When I read about her work, I immediately ordered 3 of her books. But the most applicable to this week's research is a book entitled Well-Behaved Women Seldom Make History. This book addresses several women who challenged social norms throughout history to effect justified changes in the world, which ultimately led to the second wave feminist movement in the 1970s. One of these women that Ulrich references is Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and she does take a positive view on Stanton's contributions to the movement overall. This concludes my initial post. Thank you for listening.